Hey guys, I'm Clarke, and today I'm having a look at the Line 6 HX1. Now, I've used a lot of Helix stuff. I use Helix Native on Logic. I have the HX Stomp and the HX effects, so I know the effects are really good. So today, I'm obviously going to go through some sounds, but I also want to really focus on the usability. Because as soon as you make a pedal smaller, suddenly you've got a lot of stuff to pack in with a lot less controls. So if it can live up to the expectations I have, having used Helix stuff before, while also doing it in this small package, I'm going to call that a brilliant win. So in order to demonstrate this, I've obviously got the HX1 itself. I've also got an external foot switch. Today I'm using the Hot Tone or Hot One, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it, Ampero switch. And I've also got a Boss Blues driver here in case I want to layer the HX1 with some gain as well. So I thought the first thing I should do is try and make my own preset. I think that's going to be a pretty good test of how well the user interface copes. For those of you who don't know, the HX1 contains all the effects that you'd expect from Line 6 Helix. You can have overdrives, delays, reverbs, modulation, looper, all sorts. The idea being you can have one at a time, and I'm going to be using the foot switch to cycle through them. It also has this tap and flux control, but we'll get onto that in a little bit. Okay, so I've always loved rotary simulator pedals, so I'm going to try and dial one of those in now. So the first thing I'm going to do is hold in the center knob and then turn it to scroll through the various types of effects. So you can see all the types of effects that you can have within HX1. Obviously for a rotary, I'm going to go to modulation. Now it's gone for the first one in the list. If I click it in again, we can see the list of all the types of modulation pedals that we have. And it is a lot. Still going. Still going. And there we are at the bottom. So obviously I'm going to go for a rotary. Now there's quite a few different types of rotary you can see. We've got vibe rotary, 122, 145, triple rotary, retro reel. I think we're now out of rotaries. I'm going to try vibe rotary, kind of see what that sounds like. And let's have a listen. Very, very vibey. But what if I didn't like that one? Why don't we try another one of them? So I'm going to click that middle one again, scroll down to 122 rotary. Let's select that. Okay, that's much more like a Hammond organ style thing. And I'm guessing 145 will be another variation on that. I think I like the 122 the most. So let's go back, select that. And now I can mess with my parameters. So if I use these left and right buttons, we can scroll through the various parameters, which there are a lot of. On time, on curve, off time, off curve. We'll talk about that in a moment. That refers to the flux. Firstly, I just want to set up a nice slow sound. Get some pretty good drive out of that. Let's go quite clean to start off with though. We can also switch between the horn and the drum. That's pretty cool. Okay. That might be a little bit too slow. Okay, that sounds like a pretty nice slow rotary sound. So that's all well and good. It's pretty easy to set up, sounds really good, but now I'm going to bring in that flux control. So this right-hand foot switch, you can have as the flux, which is what it is now, or if I press and hold it, we can go to a tap tempo. So if you're doing delays, that sort of thing, you can have it timed. But for this, I want to have the flux, and essentially, you'll notice this little scrolling line pop up at the top when I click it on and off. It essentially allows me to switch between two expression pedal positions, and I can assign this to any parameter or parameters. So I'm going to try and assign it, and I've never done this before, so you're seeing my genuine first attempt at this. I'm going to try and use it to go between the speeds. So as I understand it, we press and hold in the one I want to assign, and it now, if you look very carefully, has a little notch at the bottom and at the top of our speed here. I don't know how obvious this is going to be on camera, but in person you can see a little line at the bottom and a line at the top, and that shows you the position of that parameter at the flux off and the flux on, and it will ramp between them. So now, in theory, it should switch to fast. That's a really nice representation of the speed up and slow down of a Hammond organ, or the Leslie cabinet more accurately. That's actually way more realistic than I thought it was going to be. Now, the ramp time that I was talking about, if you scroll along, we've got on time, on curve, off time, and off curve. This means we can control the way it ramps up. Do you want it to be linear and just slowly speed up, or do you want it to have like a curve and then speed up quickly at the end? You can control that. You can also control the length of time it takes. So, for example, if I just turn off the Flux a sec, and I change the on time, currently, it's quite quick. If I were to ramp that up, you can see I'm changing the amount of seconds. So if I just max that out to 8 seconds. Why does that max it out? There you go. You'll see it takes a long time to get there. Now, obviously, that is ludicrous. So I'm going to take that back down to like 1.5-ish, maybe. Even that's a bit long, actually. I think just 1 second is about where I want it. I like that. What I really love about this Flux Control is you can use it to essentially have 2 different settings on the same pedal that you can switch between. So I can scroll through my presets and I've got 2 different rotary sounds. I can have 2 different delay sounds. I can have 2 different reverb sounds. And that means you can scroll through them and have 2 on every single preset, which is a really cool feature. So now I've done that, I can save that as my new preset. So I'm going to hold down the home button and then I can choose where I'm going to put it. I'm going to replace preset 001, why not? And obviously I can name that whatever I like and just press save. And that becomes my new preset 1. Hey guys, just a quick reminder that when I reach 1,000 subscribers, I'll be giving away this signed fuzz pedal that was used on the recording of the last Brave Rival album. So to be in with the chance of winning, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now, I've just noticed midway through this video that I'm quite out of tune. No worries at all, because it also has a tuner built in. See what I did there? So if I hold down both of these 2 switches, we'll go into the tuner mode. Now, if you just press them down once, you can go into preset mode. Obviously, I'm not too worried about that because I have this external thing cycling through my presets. Okay, let's try a totally different sound. I want to get a really cool reverb sound, because that's one of the reasons that I bought this pedal, was the multitude of really cool reverbs. So let's have a go. Searchlights, let's see what that is. That sounds like it's going to be quite shoegazery. It's kind of a pulsating reverb, kind of like a delay and a reverb. It's had a little bit of overdrive in from the blues driver. Now, a classic thing I like to do with reverb is to have a short one and a long one. So what if I can have both using this Flux Control? So let's try it. I'm going to dial in a reverb that I like, and then we'll mess with the flux. Okay, so I'm going to dial in for the low setting a lower pre-delay and a low decay. I think I like that. So what I'm going to do to set this up with Flux is I'm going to hold down the decay button until those little notches appear, and I'm also going to do it on the pre-delay. So now I have those notches on both. So now what I can do is with the Flux off, with the dim light here, that is now my sound. Now I can set up what I want the intense one to be by pressing it, letting it reach its max. That's a bit much. As you can see, it's maxed out both. So I'm going to dial it down to where I think is where I want it. So I want a bit more pre-delay, just to give a bit of space for playing. So I'm going to go maybe 70. And then, where do we want the decay? I think about there sounds good. So now I should have two totally different reverb sounds dialed in really, really quickly. I must say the user interface of this is really impressing me. Now, obviously, I want to save that, so I'm going to hold down my save button and save it as my next preset. So I now have a rotary with two versions. Oh, that's a lovely sound. And two reverbs. Okay, so what do I like? Well, the sounds are brilliant in it. Just like every other Helix product, I think they are generally really, really good. I was worried about the user interface being easy to use, but it is really easy to set up, really easy to customize, really easy to save your own presets. So absolutely brilliant for that. I'd also like to comment on the build quality. This is something I do a lot because I'm a touring musician. It needs to be built well if I'm going to put it on my pedal board, and it feels incredibly sturdy. It's reassuringly heavy, if that makes sense. Okay, there are a couple of things that I'm a little bit disappointed with. The first one being that there is no setting where you can just use these two buttons to scroll through presets. Now, because I use a loop switcher on my board, this is kind of what I wanted to use this for. Have it always on and just scroll through the presets, select whichever one I want, and use the loop switcher to cut it in or out. The closest you can do is pressing the two buttons together, and you can scroll through them like this, but you then have to then turn that off again to select the preset, which is a bit of a shame. Now, the workaround is to have an external foot switch like this, but it's just more space on the board that I'd rather be saving. The other thing is that you can't save the flux and tap tempo controls to each pedal. So for example, a delay, I might want a tap tempo there, but for the rotary, I might want a flux. But as you'll see, if I'm scrolling through, it's not changing the flux control. If I put that onto tap tempo and scroll through, it stays on tap tempo. I don't know, I feel like that could have been addressed. Maybe there's a deep dive way of doing it, maybe with MIDI, I'm not sure, but it's not immediately obvious. So yeah, couple of little disappointments, but overall, really, really well-made pedal. Very well designed. So yeah, really impressed, and I suspect this will be going on my pedal board very, very soon. So there you have it, the HX1 from line 6. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed with the bell icon tick to be notified of new videos. Have yourself a great day, and I'll see you next time.